Sorry, it is 6:35. I'm sorry, 5:35, thank you. 5:35, welcome to Calexico, City of Calexico, Calexico Redevelopment Successor, Agency Calexico Finance Authority, regular meeting agenda. Today's Wednesday, the January 19th, 2022. So we're gonna take the roll call. Mayor Moreno's here. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. Here. Thank you. Councilmember Raul Ureña.
He's not here.
Is he here?
He's not here.
He's not here? So is he excused, Mr. Figueroa?
No, I believe he's coming.
Oh, he's coming. Okay, he's not here today. Okay, yet. Okay, then we have Council Member Gloria Romo.
Here.
Thank you. And then we received call from Councilmember Rosia Arona to be excused, right?
Yes, sir.
Absent. Okay, so she's absent. Excused. All right. So this is a closed session meeting called to order. Due to the declaration of emergency, this meeting is being held pursuant to AB 361, approved by the Governor of California on September 16, 2021, and some or all the City Council members may participate in this meeting by teleconference. Pursuant to Imperial County Public Health Department guidelines, City Council meetings are now open for public attendance at 100% capacity of the City Council chambers, and all persons entering City Hall will be required to wear a mask. Public participation will continue to be available in the following ways. Members of the public are encouraged to watch the meeting via live stream at http://communityspectrum.org live at 6:30 p.m. or via the Calexico City Hall Facebook page at www.facebook.com City of Calexico CA. Members of the public will be able to make public comments in the following ways. In-person comments, submit public comments via email by 2 p.m. on Wednesday, January the 19th, 2022 to our city clerk at gggarcia@calexicoca.gov or via fax to 760-768-2103. Or you may make public comments via Zoom from a PC, Mac, iPad, phone, or Android device. Please link below to join the webinar at telephone number you can dial in 1-669-900-6833. The webinar ID is 828-7360-9574 and the passcode is 139940. Okay, let the record reflect Mr. Ureña is here today. Thank you, Mr. Ureña.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Public comments not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for public to address the City Council on closed session items only. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. Do we have any public comments?
Closed session only.
Just close session.
Yeah, just to close.
We don't, Mayor.
And we don't? Okay, thank you. All right, so it is 5:40. We're going to adjourn to closed session. Good evening. Welcome to the Calexico City Council Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Finance Authority regular meeting. It is 6:34, and I will call to order. Please stand up for a pledge of allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
Recording in progress.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Mr. Ureña, can you help us with the mission statement, please?
City of Calexico mission statement. Together we pledge to provide effective and efficient services and experiences to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community
Thank you, Mr. Adrien. Ms. Romo, could you do us the favor of the invocation, please?
Thank you. Jesus Christ, thank you for this day and for the opportunity to have this council meeting. We ask you to help us understand every issue of this agenda that we will work on today. Thank you, Lord, for your mercy. Blessed be Lord Jesus. Amen.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Okay, we now have the closed session announcement.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. City Council meeting closed session items 1, 2, 3 as described on the agenda. We received direction on those items, but reportable actions were taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campos. And I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Romo and seconded. Second by Ms. Garcia. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. We now have presentations, bi-weekly COVID-19 update presentation by Fire Chief, Mr. Favila.
Good evening, Honorable City Council and our staff that are present today and all the people watching us on our social media platforms. I'll be very brief on our COVID-19 update as we have a long agenda. I'll start off with the numbers for Kalexico. Total active cases at the moment is 727. That's about a 20% jump of our last meeting that we had. Total cases for the city of Calexico since the pandemic started is 10,853. The number that I'm always pleased about is the recovery rate, 9,872. And unfortunately, we have had 254 deaths. With those numbers rising, we got to make sure that we're diligent, that we're still taking precautions. The mask mandate went back into effect January 7th. It was set to expire February 15th, I believe. But the way things are going now, I can anticipate or see this changing and extending a little longer. Make sure you guys are practicing social distancing, wash your hands, clean down your sites. Right now there was a rise in COVID testing, right? We're having some of these stations that are having minimal hours because they can't meet the demand. So the state of California, they have, if you go to California, COVID-19, so it's covid19.ca.gov, they're providing 4 free home tests, COVID tests for a family. I went on there this afternoon to see how complicated it was to fill out this application. It is very easy. Your name, your address, send. That is it. You get 4 free tests per household. So hopefully the intent behind this is to avoid all these long lines at our COVID testing sites. All the sites are still active here in Calexico. If you're feeling like you're ill, give it a try, go get your COVID-19 test. Be mindful the vaccinations are still available to those that qualify. Those that need it, the boosters are also available. We have numerous places here at the city of Calexico that provide them. A list of the testing sites and our vaccination sites are on our city website. Let me see here. I think that's all I have unless you guys have some specific questions.
I don't thank you, Chief, for your presentation. Anybody? No?
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, too.
Happy New Year too.
Now we have the American Rescue Plan Act presentation by our city manager, Mr. Miguel Figueroa.
Hey, thank you, Mayor, members of the audience, people that are watching us at home. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an update to everyone as to where we stand with the use of Arpa money, in addition to the fact that the final rule by the U.S. Treasury Department was issued on January 6th. So pretty much we know specifically the guidelines and the requirements and what rules must be followed. With that said, there are 4 items that we're going to jump into. These items are the approved expenditures to date, the final rule overview, the proposed use of ARPA funds, and the next steps. I do want to remind the audience and everyone watching this presentation that in September of 2021, this City Council approved a strategic plan that included the input of the community, city staff, City Council, the experts and facilitators that assisted us. So basically, we do have a roadmap that provides guidance as to where the needs of the city are that we know. And I do want to point out that we all know that the needs of the city account for more than the simply $9.5 million that the ARPA allocation is for Calexico. So what do we have up to this date as it pertains to the use of ARPA expenses? On October 6th, the Calexico City Council adopted a resolution approving the city's use of ARPA funds for the replacement of public safety vehicles, specifically for the fire department and police department. We can see those listed here. That came at an expense of $1,278,000. On November 3rd, 2021, the City Council adopted a resolution approving the city's use of ARPA funds to provide up to $7,000 per full-time and part-time eligible employee. Pardon the typo right there, it's part-time eligible employee. With that said, to this day, the city has expended from the $9,526,987, those 2 expenditures, that leaves a remaining balance of $7,228,591. So what does the final rule tell us in comparison to the interim rule that was first issued in the early part, if I may take, of the spring of 2021? Basically, the eligible use of funds not only have been ratified per the interim rule, but they've been more specific as to what the money can be used for. As we know, the replacement of lost public sector revenue for March 2020 through June 2021, the support of public health and economic response by addressing some of the impacts that it's had on these 2 sectors, the premium pay for eligible workers, and the investment in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. One of the things that I do want to point out is that it's important not to forget that the city must obligate the use in its entirety of the monies by December 31st of 2024. The expenditure must be completed of the monies by December 31st of 2026. But as we know, as we look at some of the large-scale projects that the city could consider, it's a very aggressive timeline because, as we know, when we go through the procurement phase of projects, they tend to be lengthy, especially in local government jurisdictions. So what is the proposed use of ARPA funds? I made emphasis at the introductory remarks that I made on this presentation that the City Council, with the input of the community, approved a strategic plan. This should be the driver of where we go ahead and expend this money. One of the things that I reference in this slide are the key objectives from the strategic plan that align with the allowed expenses under ARPA. Those items are referenced in the slide you are looking at right now. Developing a mutually supportive environment of professionalism that encourages stakeholder partnerships, teamwork, and supports city effort. Enhance all employee access to needed information to strengthen public services. Streamline city development and administrative services to assist contractors. Basically, what we know is that COVID-19 monies are intended to make up for the fiscal impacts cities, counties experienced during this pandemic. So what we're looking at proposing as eligible uses under the ARPA allocation for the city of Calexico are upgrades and modernization of information technology infrastructure on public facilities accessed by city employees, business owners, and the general public that visits the city of Calexico. Water and sewer infrastructure projects within the capital improvement program that will promote development and investment for housing and business development. Provide underserved sectors of our community with expanded broadband access. I do want to point out that obviously these three proposed uses are the umbrella of what we're looking for. In order to pinpoint the elements that are going to make up these three items that have been identified, as part of the next steps, the city manager's office, along with city staff, are proposing a workshop on Tuesday, February 1st, in these chambers at 5:30 p.m. to expand on the subject matter. The expectation is that City Council will consider and approve the proposed use of ARPA funds at their February 16th meeting. We want to have the proper forum where people, the council even, staff members can provide additional input as needed. One of the things that I do want to point out is this is an update presentation so everybody can understand where we are right now, especially with the issuance of the final rule. With that said, we need to make sure that every penny that gets expended is accountable to an audit when we get visited at the latter part of 2026, early part of 2027. So with that said, I open and provide an invitation to the members that are following us via the social media platforms, to everybody that's here, to attend our workshop on February 1st. With that said, Mayor, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. The next items are announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website at www.calexico.ca.gov the Friday following City Council meeting. Committee office hours with Mayor Moreno will be held by appointment. Please contact the City Clerk's office at 760-768-2102 to schedule an appointment. Public comments and public appearances, not to exceed 3 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the City Council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. However, if the item you wish to comment is on the consent agenda, please comment now. The Mayor will recognize you, and then you will come to the microphone. Please state your name and place of residence for the record. While the members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. We do have some emails received today on public comments, and I do have 6 here that I'm going.
Go ahead for Marcos. He has a comment on item number 1. Marcos.
Buenas tardes, con sus de Calexico. Pues mi nombre es Marco Antonio López, tengo 19 años, bueno, no miento, 20, sorry. Mi comentario es específicamente por lo de Arpa. Me gustaría que ese dinero se repartiera específicamente para los para la gente más como la más trabajadora, que viene siendo la gente de los campesinos, y para los viejitos, porque son los viejitos ahorita en esta ola de la pandemia ha estado muy fuerte para ellos, por lo que me he enterado. Está peor que como comenzó la primera ola. Y para los campesinos me gustaría que sí por lo menos se les repartiera, no sé, 50, $70, porque créanme que por ellos tenemos el pan en nuestras mesas. Si no fuera por ellos, no sé qué pasaría, cómo nos estuviéramos alimentando. Y eso sería todo de mi parte. Muchas gracias.
Okay, we have a comment. Oh, well, that was in right there. His comment was from the December 28th. The other comments we have are, I'm going to read one. They all state the same thing. I'm going to read one email, and then I'm going to read everybody's name that sent the email. Dear Calexico City Council members, I am expressing my support for the equitable distribution of Arpa recovery funds proposed by the Imperial Valley Equity and Justice Coalition, Calexico Needs Change, and Calexico Union Against Corruption. As outlined by the U.S. Treasury Department, these funds are meant to address public health, economic challenges that have contributed to the unequal impact of the pandemic. I urge you as council to please consider the following proposals highlighted by the Calexico Equitable ARPA Plan, drafted by the previously mentioned groups and supported by the Latino Community Foundation and the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW Local 1167. These proposals include bonus program for COVID-19 high-risk essential workers, downtown infrastructure for essential workers, investing in cooling stations, invest in outreach capacity to increase access to assistance programs, psychiatric emergency response team, invest in a Housing First pilot program, utilize funds to address affordable housing needs. And this one was submitted by Atlas Alvarez. I had the same email for Luis Ruiz Cortez, Maribel Padilla Leiva, Stephanie Alarcón, Daniel Mar, Christy Jimenez, Camila Musso, Monique Ureña, Vanessa Kilps, Alicet Jaura, Citlali Harogi, Cole Nogales, Stephanie Briceño, Evelyn Garcia, Oscar Valles, Salvador Valdivia, Ashley Diaz, Andrés Hernández, Ana Paula Cabrera, Jimmy Vasquez, Gilbert Manzanares, Angelica Gomez, Edgar Ramirez, Scarlett Diaz, Brian Vega, Desiree Botello, Kimberly Lopez, Maria Coronado. That's it for the comments on that item.
Thank you. I have here 6 public comments requests. So the names are, so you'll know the order. First, it's going to be Javier Gonzalez. The second person would be Michael Gonzalez. The third person would be Luis Casillas. I have Eduardo Rivera, but he is going to give up his time to Mr. Paddock. Next is Jesse Garcia, and then we have Carmen Zuniga Estrada. So we'll go ahead and entertain the first one, Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you.
I'm going to remove this. Honorable Mayor, members of the council, administration, general public. I'll probably go over the 3 minutes, but this is not a public comment. This is a presentation as your IID representative. I haven't been here in a while, in about 3 months, so I just want to give an update on the several things that have happened at IID. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everybody. The second is I want to thank the IID board, the city of Calexico. We've been trying to work together. Myself, been bringing all these issues that we have in Calexico. We have a lot of problems. And when I ran, I said, I'm going to bring all the issues and you tell me what we need to do. We've been working at it at IID I feel we've come along forward, but I'm going to give you issues that affect Calexico. First and foremost, we had the ML King celebration cleanup this past Saturday. I want to thank the city of Calexico Public Works. We worked together. Let me tell you that we've been doing this myself for 30 years. Started out as a neighborhood project for Kennedy Gardens. We do have the ML King Street. Calexico was the first play area in the valley to recognize ML King with a street. So thank you very much. There's a saying that I want to repeat by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. It came out in the Calexico Chronicle highlighting the event. It says, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said of volunteerism, everybody can be great because anybody can serve. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your verb and subject agree to serve. You only need to have a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Thank you very much, everybody that participated. Thank you very much to the sponsors, Dr. Bo, that provided the free hot dogs and drinks. Irby, who provided the materials. Aurora High School. AmeriCorps, Aurora. There's a lot of groups with the boxing community. Anyways, the first project, I got good news. The beach canal will be underground by the end of this year. $3.4 million was set aside for the beach canal. After many years, we had the option of relocating it. It was $7 million. With this project, that area will see a spur in economic development because anybody who wanted to set up there needed to pay some money. It's not going to cost the city anything or any developer anything. That's a good thing. The other thing is we've been working with streetlights. Right now, I'm going to finish all this area of Calexico. I've done it all year long. We've reported over 600 streetlights, and they keep on breaking. I can report 20 today. By next week, we have another 30, so that's good. But we have a lot of underground streetlights that need fixing, and that is the responsibility of the city. I did fix the fixture. We have a lot of people that want streetlights, more additional streetlights in several of their streets. They want streetlights in their alleys. I mean, it's a dark city, and those are the responsibility of the city. I feel that the city needs to have a plan for their infrastructure, and we can use this money, instead of passing it out and giving handouts, use this money to fix up all the things that we need in Calexico. We have a lot of broken street lights. We have the canals at the soccer fields filling up with water. The other thing is the Calexico Trailer Park. I brought this up when I was campaigning. I see that the city and the county met with them. We really don't have any jurisdiction other than we brought it up because we wanted the trailer park owners to fix up their street lights. They're private. Over 85% are broken. And it's sad to see that the county is going after the homeowners for code violations, which I agree because it's a security issue. But the owner hasn't fixed up their area, and the car lot that's there is still all dirty. I think we should go after them first before we start citing people. The other thing is IID just passed the utility box beautification project. All these utility boxes you see around the city that are graffiti, we can now place art on them. Anybody who wants to sponsor art or put a sticker, they call them, I don't know what they call it, they look beautiful. So the program has been approved by IID. The All-American Canal is being cleaned again as we speak. Tomorrow they'll clean up again on the sides of the bridges to bring out more debris. Remember before we ran, there were like 30 shopping carts down there. There are no more. The whole fence has been fixed up. And if you've seen behind Kennedy Gardens, they've been cleaning all that, what we call the no man's land, because there's a lot of rubble. We don't want homeless to go in there. The other thing is all 17 local entity grants that we provided has been awarded. The city was awarded with one. A lot of entities, a lot of nonprofits were giving money by IID. It's the end of that program. There was 30 million about 30 years ago. That program, it ends. And I want to invite the community. I want to invite the city. We're having the 2022 Calexico Earth and Arbor Day celebration on April 30, Saturday at Cordova Park. McGraw and Sparky the dog and DB Duck will be here. We're hoping that the helicopter lands in the park, and we're hoping to have a good time and inform the community, all those agencies to inform the community. We have sponsors, but if the city wants to help us out, they can waive the fees. You guys are the ones that make the decision, just $130, but it's a good participation. It shows an effort from you guys that you want, community participation. So if you have any questions, I'm here. I encourage the citizens to use IID's new reporting app. It takes 2 minutes to report a streetlight with our new app. They keep you updated when they're fixing it, and they'll inform you when it's complete. Use it. We have an old system that, I drive around every week, but we need help. So thank you very much.
Mayor.
Thank you, Director Gonzalez. Mayor Pro Tem has a couple questions.
Yeah. Director Gonzalez, a couple of questions. Now that the ECA was extended until spring, I know that has been quite a jump on our utility bills. So that was extended. But then also I did see that workshops starting to be held for the TOU.
Yes.
Is there a chance that you can bring some of those workshops and get community engagement and explain what that is and how can the community can benefit from that? Because it seems that we're paying more and more, and there's very little reward for someone that might be energy, guess efficient. So if you can just, I understand all these things that are happening, but I think for the ratepayers, if we can get them engaged and we can have some workshops locally, that would be great.
Let me inform you of the energy rates. Most of the rates, they went up throughout the nation, as you know, because natural gas went up, gasoline went up. That's what we use, and a little bit of the increase was a little bit because we took action to prevent blackouts. It was the first time in about 10 years that we didn't have a blackout. So we needed to buy extra power to have it ready so you guys don't have blackouts. We have a lot of people on ventilators. We have a lot of people connected. We can't have a blackout, 2 or 3 blackouts during the summer. We did buy extra. But on the other, it was just the first presentation. It was the pay, I forget.
Time of use.
Time of use. What they're showing it, I'm going to bring that presentation to the Southern Border Committee. It's if you use, that's what they're planning. If you use your energy between 4 and 8, you're going to pay less, a lot less. If you use it when it's more, during the peak hours. But it's just the beginning. They're giving us a second presentation. After that, I'm going to invite them to come before the Southern Border Committee. And that meetings are open to everybody.
Yeah, I will invite, maybe, I know the Southern Border Committee meets, but, more for the community, because that's one way that actually people can benefit from probably lower energy rates. Yes. If they use, their power at off-peak hours.
Yes.
And hopefully also maybe feedback that we can get, how can we be more efficient? How can we actually save some money by, again, due to the time of use. But I don't know where we stand. If you can just keep us abreast as to how those conversations are progressing. I know that it's very early in the conversation, but I think it's one of the ways that, again, we can save money. We can have our ratepayers save money, because most of the time it's because we have to buy, energy at a higher cost because of fuel, because of all these things, renewable energy acquisition. But very few times, there's an opportunity for the ratepayers to get a break. So if you can just advocate for us and bring those conversations here, that would be appreciated.
Because I know that there's other directors that are watching this, and I really think that IID should do public workshops throughout the valley regarding this, because it's a lot of saving for a lot of people. The time of use. One other thing I want to mention is IID is looking into a possibility of buying batteries. That's expensive, but in the long run, we need them. We need them. And some of the energy rate you see, sometimes you got to make the hard decisions, but we do need them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. Next person is Mr. Michael Gonzalez.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, members of the council.
Hi.
is Michael Gonzalez. I'm the Vice President for the Calexico Police Officers Association. Been an officer here in Calexico for about almost 5 years. I'm here today to share my concern and the concern of my colleagues. Morale at the Calexico Police Department is at an all-time low. New officers are losing their drive a year into their career because they see no future in regards to special assignments, such as K-9, investigations, SRO, whatever it may be. Most special assignments, such as some other ones that my partner's going to mention right now, a lot of the officers are contemplating applying out to other agencies because these agencies give out incentives for hiring that are up to $30,000. We're not asking for money, we're asking for personnel. That's what we're in dire need of. We've been trying to work with the city for the past 2 years, and we've been so short-staffed, but we haven't seen any progress. And due to the insufficient personnel and there's a risk to the public safety and the members of this community. Officers, before COVID started, we were already at low staffing levels. During COVID, we've had officers out on leave for COVID, maternal leave, officers that have gone injured on the job, and even on administration leave. There's been such a lack of personnel that even I myself, I was injured outside of the job, and I was back to work within, I think, the month. Not because I needed the money or because I didn't have any sick hours, but because I was trying to look out for my partners and my colleagues. It came to my mind not only because I did this, but there has been other officers that have done this that came back to work before they needed to. But it came to my mind that the Calexico police officers and dispatchers do what's best for this department, but the city and the department do not do what's best for their officers. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Now we have Mr. Luis Casillas.
Good evening, members of the public and the council. My name is Luis Casillas. I represent the Calexico Police Officers Association and dispatchers. I'm going to piggyback on what my colleague said here. I wish I had something positive to report, but the truth of the matter is that we're in the same position that we were last year. We're still low staffed. We still haven't hired enough dispatchers or police officers. And quite frankly, having 2 police officers of a city of 44,000 people plus a port of 1.1 million people across is embarrassing, and it's a disservice to the community and to the people that you represent. Not only is it a disservice, it's dangerous. It poses a danger to the public, and it poses a danger to the officers, and nothing has been done about it. Our hiring process has stalled. Now, I don't know if it's because of communication with HR and our command staff, or both, or maybe they're both incompetent, and maybe they should be replaced. And just to add insult to injury, no offense to our current police chief, but here we have a police chief that's retired and is collecting $24,000 a month, and we've got 2 officers running around. And you know what? If we take someone to jail now, you got 1. That's a slap in the face. It's a slap in the face to the community. Chief, with all due respect, just retire. Enjoy your vacation. Let someone else take over, because you're not leading anything. You can't lead 2 officers. We haven't had a permanent detective bureau in 7 years. All these major crimes that are going on right now, because we do have them, believe it or not. We just had one. No one investigates those. We do what we can with what we got. We shoot from the hip. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to the developers that are going to come into this town, to any business people that want to come into this town, and nothing has been done about it. And so we are going to launch a full-blown public awareness campaign against this city. And we're going to go to every council chambers around the county and let them know that they have family, or if they plan to come to Kalexico, it's unsafe and unfit. And I say it from the police officer standpoint, and I'm sure it's with my colleagues, the firefighters. They're short-staffed too. And quit making a mockery of your mission statement. Let's have some pride in the city. And you can start by fixing your clock. That's how behind in time you are. It's embarrassing.
We now have Mr. Joshua Paddock.
Good evening, council members. Joshua Paddock, this is part of the Firefighter Association. We had a couple issues we wanted to bring forward, a couple concerns we've had, I guess recently, in the last couple of months in the department. A couple of those, the hiring and job filling approval practices within the city. A couple concerns there we'll briefly touch on, and the financial constrictions on the day-to-day operations. In the next coming weeks, we are going to be providing another presentation on staffing levels, on current pay with comparisons of different departments throughout the county. That will be coming very shortly. But we'll briefly touch on that to discuss our current needs on the fire department. I'm going to kind of read verbatim off here as I didn't have much time to cover. But for years, we've been waiting for fire department to come to normal staffing levels and have been asked to share the load with massive amounts of overtime to maintain proper public safety for the city for years. The workload in which we have taken has been enduring and has been for quite some time. The extremely overworked fire department greatly increases safety concerns. Sleep deprivation and fatigue are the #1 reasons for med errors and fire ground injury. This increases the legal liability exposure to the city and medical malpractice suits and workplace injuries. The city has stated that funds for staffing is not available, and large holes in personnel has been wide open for a very long time. Holes in promoted positions remain to be unfilled for years. As one firefighter is hired, another leaves due to working conditions and low pay. Staffing levels continue to stay understaffed and are never fully met. It's been a revolving door. Just to give the council a heads up, it's going to be a very large concern in the next couple of months that we have 5 more leaving. We're already 6 understaffed. We got 5 more leaving. Almost confirmed 5 more leaving. We're almost 11 short. We will be coming up. So we're kind of giving you guys a heads up that this is the needs and this is the presentation we're going to be trying to give in the next couple of weeks. Again, 11 firefighters now since 2010 staffing. So some of the practices of hiring and filling personnel. As personnel leave the city, as personnel in different departments leave the city and vacancies open, the pattern is starting to play that certain departments are getting their staffing needs met while others are not. Just one example we're seeing is that finance department has a recent opening on January 6th. 2 years later, they opened up for that position to be filled. Not 2 days, not 2 years. 2 days it opened up for that position to be filled. It wasn't asked to share the load like other departments share the load here. We work overtime, we do other people's, we work together, get the job done. It wasn't asked that, it's just automatically opened and it's looking for filled. And on top of that, 2 temp employees automatically approved for that position, where other positions or holes are for years are set there. That's a kind of a reoccurring thing within, especially that department. 5 finance department employees have left their position in 4 years. Well, all were filled promptly with full-time or part-time temp employees, where the other employees are part-time or temps for the other departments. Our concern is that maybe the departments or staffing needs are filled based on personal relationships that has with the finance department instead of a professional one. We are starting to see patterns that are extended outside normal operating business and civic relationships. Excuse me. Our second major concern is we're seeing that certain departments are being pinched financially in daily operations. Financial pinching in the form of delay of payment after delay of payment for basic operational needs. We don't know if this is finance department operation issues, personal vendetta towards the department, or just plain long-lasting mistake after mistake. But what we do know is that this financial delay in operations hinder our services to the community, hinder our ability to provide appropriate patient care and fire suppression needs throughout the city. It's the citizens that ultimately are harmed by this. Not only the citizens, but also opens up the city to a large amount of legal liability. Just a few examples on the day-to-day operations that we feel is being pinched financially. We have a couple examples here. POs, iPads. We use iPads on a daily basis, every call, to process insurance information, to write narratives, every day, database basis. Things happen, things break. We run emergency calls. For 1 month, this sat stamped and received by the department, finance department. For 1 month, it sat on their desk. We're without iPads right now. We're accumulating overtime, having to do PCRs at the finance department. It was finally approved and we got it, but 1 month it sat there. So when it got approved. Another example we have right here is medical supplies, medicines. We run on a day-to-day basis on ALS ambulances. Ordered in October, has not yet been paid. Firefighters have to pay out of their pocket for certain things sometimes because we don't have a constant or a debit card or credit card that we can use. There's only 40 hours a week for admin time. We can only get petty cash for so many hours. Something comes up, we're a 24/7 department. Oftentimes, firefighter personnel pay out of their own pocket with reimbursement, with promise of reimbursement later. It does come. But the delays of the reimbursement, this one's August 11th, a firefighter is paid. Another one August 11th, still has yet to be paid. So the delays, these financial delays are really hindering the department. And that's hindering the operations, which is hindering the service to the community. Sorry to go off on that, but one second. One more example, batteries for SCBAs, recently bought by one of our employees there. Because we don't have the proper means, just quickly buy it, because sometimes that happens. We run out of things, and if the POs sit for weeks on end on the table, how are we supposed to process and function on a daily basis? So, sorry, water. We were out of our drinking water for 2 weeks. This has happened multiple times, and I've been there 4 years. That's basically, we're there for 3, 4, 5 days at a time. I was there 6 days 2 months ago. That's a revolving payment that continues to not get paid every now and then doesn't get paid. So vendors don't want to work with us. They tell us, well, we don't know when we're going to get paid. Our mechanic don't get paid on time. He continues to do the work. He's a good guy, but he doesn't get paid on time. So we don't know if this is happening across the board. We don't know if this is just our department. We're only halfway through the fiscal year and definitely have plenty of money left in our budget. Another question that rises again, the Arpa money. If this is a pandemic, this is the money is federal money to help with the efforts of COVID or the holes that have been left financially or in staff. Why are our needs not met instantaneously? We're going into COVID houses. We're going treating patients with COVID. When we ask for something, why can't it be, hey, we got you. Here it is. Instead, it waits for months, weeks, gets delayed. That ultimately delays on the patients. That's more what we're concerned about. This type of pinching that sometimes seems to be this type of pinching sometimes seems not to be accidental, as if POs come across certain desks and purposely get put to the side. It's time to have accountability with professionalism between the departments and to provide the funding that's necessary in a swift manner to meet the operational demands of the fire department. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jesse Garcia.
Today I'm going to talk about our city parks. Almost every park here in Kalexico don't have trash cans. If you pass by the parks, you see people, the picnic tables with their trash. The people leave behind because they don't have a place to dump it in. We don't have trash cans in many parks. And the parks that do have trash cans are those big oil barrels that they were never meant to be used for trash. They're heavy. They're heavy when they're empty, and they're a lot heavier when they're full of trash. And the employees still have to lift up physically those cans to empty them. Many years ago when I was working with the city, that's how they injured my back. We had to pick up those trash cans. Because of those trash cans, I'm disabled. We don't want that to happen to the employees now, but how come we're still using them? How come we're still being put in the parks all over town? I mean, we're still back in the old days. I mean, also, in the parks, drinking fountains are not working. lots of drinking fountains, but they're like for decorations because they don't work. We need to get those drinking fountains ready for the people who want to take a drink. The biggest park and the newest park in Calexico, Cordova Park, doesn't have any drinking fountains at all. It's a very big park and no drinking fountains for that park. Also, I was approached by a lady at Cordova Park saying that, how come there's no shading areas like other parks have? And I looked around it, at the big park, there's no shading areas with picnic tables at all. So we would like to see that at Cordova Park. At Border Park, or I think it's called Friendship Park also. One time I was walking through that park, I walked all the way to the fountain that doesn't work no more. And in there, I found 3 drug addicts shooting up. You cannot see them from far away until you get right next to it. Then I looked down, and there they were. That's what they use that place for, to hide and to do their drugs. If nothing's going to happen to that park, that fountain should be filled up. Also, the restrooms in all the parks, well, the parks that do have restrooms, I know they did a lot because of the COVID, but also before the COVID, all the bathrooms were in bad condition. Somebody went in with probably baseball bats or hammers or whatever and broke them. They were porcelain. We need metal commodes and sinks in those bathrooms and to open up. Like the one right here at Rockford Plaza Park. The city has their Christmas parade, I remember a few years ago. And I went into the bathrooms and I go like, how can the city have a parade and have these bathrooms open in the condition they're in? And the females were telling me to check out their bathrooms, which was worse. I mean, all broken up. At Rodriguez Park, the baseball field, it's embarrassing having people from out of town going into that field to play baseball. It's a dump site. It's also not compliant to the ADA. I have to use a wheelchair sometimes, and I can't go in there with a wheelchair. It's all gravel, it's all loose. My wheelchair will get stuck all the time. And it's like a place like North Central Starkfield. It's all asphalt, and it has ramps for wheelchairs for disabled people. Rodriguez Park, nothing. Nothing. There's nothing there for disabled to accommodate disabled people. And I believe that's against the law of the ADA. I'm gonna have to stop for now and continue next time. I got more. All right. Hopefully, my son will come to this. It will be taken care of because I've been coming here for years because of this, and it has never been taken care of. Nothing. Nothing will have been taken care of. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's okay? Yes, sir? That's okay?
The next person is Carmen Zúñiga Estrada.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Soy Carmen Zúñiga Estrada, presidenta y fundadora del programa Calexico para Ensatar el Día. No sé la verdad ni por dónde empezar, pero para hacer rápidamente, estamos formando un torneo binacional, el IID, tenemos el 100% del apoyo de ellos, el condado, y nosotros lo que necesitamos de la ciudad que nos pongan los parques en buenas condiciones en conjunto de cada una de las organizaciones, que nosotros como organización hemos estado ayudando a la ciudad de Calexico en parques. Quiero darle las gracias a cada uno de ustedes porque la verdad han estado con nosotros en los torneos y para nosotros es una satisfacción que ustedes hayan visto todo lo que es nuestro programa aquí tan grande. No nomás es hablar, es
ver, lo vieron y pues sí se dieron cuenta de las necesidades que tiene cada una de los parques. Nosotros jugamos en el lodo. A diario estamos comprando tierra. Lilia ha estado llevando tierra a los campos para tapar los hoyos de los sprinkles. Todos los campos están en muy malas condiciones. Yo sé que no hay presupuesto y también sabemos que no hay empleados, por eso nosotros estamos ayudando en los campos a mantenerlos limpios, pintarlos y hacer todo lo que podamos para cooperar y no ser una carga para la ciudad. Pero sí, esta vez, la verdad, nosotros lo único que necesitamos que nos apoyen con los campos. El único campo que está ahorita más o menos para jugar es Inti Andrade, que ahí alrededor de 1000 personas a la semana son las que estamos. Y tú sabes, ¿verdad que es cierto? Ustedes, Gloria. Entonces, por favor, sí les pido de que le den un presupuesto bastante considerado para parques, porque es para la comunidad, no es para una sola organización, para la comunidad. Esta vez, la verdad, háganlo, se los pido de favor. Y gracias.
Señora Carmen. El parque que están usando más es el Andrade, dijo.
Sí, Quinti Andrade, que no cuenta con baños. De hecho, pues ya Lili ya mandó a arreglar las válvulas y los brincos. Están en pésimas condiciones. Javier, tú viste que los niños juegan en el lodo, ¿verdad? ¿Verdad? No quiero exponer eso, ¿verdad? Pero yo sé que ustedes hacen lo que pueden, pero no podemos continuar así. Por favor, si hay dinero, hay que meter a los campos. Es más, es una emergencia. Nosotros a fines de enero, si la pandemia está bajando, vamos a tener la primera junta en Tijuana, que pues quien nos quiera acompañar, ya Javier, pues hemos estado platicando con el condado, con el IID. El IID, la verdad, lo que dice cumple. Y quiero que la ciudad también esté en conjunto con nosotros, con la organización, para llevar este torneo binacional, que es un torneo nunca más visto, la verdad. Y necesitamos que Calexico luzca.
¿Qué pasó con el parque que había solicitado el Cordova?
El Cordova, pues nosotros como organización solicitamos de que queríamos terminar el campo de soccer poniendo sprinkles, poniendo zacate, el cual hasta ahorita pues no se ha llevado a cabo porque el abogado está haciendo las bailas para darnos a nosotros como organización qué es lo que vamos a hacer. Pero ahorita estamos hablando de noviembre, diciembre, enero, y la persona que tenía que poner sprinkles y zacate, pues como nosotros somos una organización no lucrativa, él lo iba a reportar a sus impuestos. Entonces se nos van los donadores. ¿Por qué? Porque cuando uno viene a hablar y dice, y si la ciudad nos aprueba, hay que trabajar rápido, porque las personas se van. Y eso es lo que hay, es lento, no hay avance, la verdad, y sin ofender. Y no quiero que mañana vayan a hacer algo contra mí, pero hay que ser claros. Tardamos mucho para dar un sí, y no podemos continuar así, Javier, porque nosotros tenemos necesidades. El parque no es para soccer, es para la comunidad. Eso es todo. Y Javier, me voy a retirar, pero por favor, tomen en cuenta esto. Tenemos la liga más grande del Valle Imperial y la única liga allá. Estamos, visita Arizona, San Diego. Es una liga grande. Ustedes la vieron. Y estoy muy orgullosa, porque la liga cada día crece y crece más. Entonces, por favor, quiero que se le dé a parques la mayor parte de dinero porque lo ocupamos. Lili, quiero darte las gracias porque en los momentos que te hemos ocupado estás con nosotros en los parques y has apoyado, y eso a mí me llena de satisfacción. Y gracias. A ustedes también, pero para agradecerles más hay que cumplir. Por favor. Con permiso.
Thank you.
Gracias. That concludes the public comments. We have the city manager's report.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, The 100% design of Heber Park has been completed. At this point right now, staff is providing feedback. We anticipate in the coming city council meetings an update presentation by staff on this project. On the Rockwood Plaza Promenade, as you know, we are driven as to how fast the state moves on this project. We are looking to have a follow-up meeting with them towards the end of the month, and we'll be coming back to you to report on the progress of that project. I am also very happy to share that at the corner of V.V. Williams and M.V. Martinez, over there by Las Casitas, for those that are not familiar with the area, where the former Santo Tomas property is at, there was a request by a concerned citizen a couple of meetings ago. I'm very happy to share that temporary stop signs have been placed. Currently, other no parking signs for heavy trucks have been ordered and will be installed. But if you pass by right now, one of the things that was of concern for them was the fact that they literally would obviously have heavy trucks park overnight, and with no stop sign, cars would pass by at high speed. So that has been addressed, and I want to appreciate my staff that worked on it at PD and Public Works to make this happen. That concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. We now have the city council comments and reports or meetings attended. Let me start just by saying that it is with great sadness that I inform you that of death of our police commissioner and friend, Salvador Munoz, who passed away this past December. Our hearts and our prayers go out to the family. I know that he was well liked in the community. He was my personal friend. I know him for a long time. We played together back in elementary, and so I'm sorry to have him gone. Chief Gerardo, you want to say a few words? Did you? I'm just asking. Okay.
Good evening, City Council, Honorable Mayor, and everybody else here. Mr. Munoz was a Kalexico lifelong resident, grew up in Calexico. We all knew him. He passed December 24th, Christmas Eve, of COVID. Everybody knows it. His services are going to be as follows. It's kind of hard for me because I was pretty close to him. He's going to have a funeral mass at Our Lady of Guadalupe on February 11th, and it's set to start at 10 o'clock. Please, 10 o'clock in the morning, please keep his family in your prayers. He will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll start here, Mr. Garcia.
No comment, just to move on with the agenda. We have a heavy agenda.
Okay. Mr. Orellana?
Yes, I do have some comments, and forgive me, Mr. Mayor, if I do take a breath, and I am shaking. I know that people were gonna come here to talk about Arpa and the necessities, but at the bare bones, the way our city is operating is dysfunctional. It's overwhelming, but that is why we are here. And so I want to make some statements so we can focus our leadership skills. I think as a council, I wanted to say first and originally that I'm very proud of this council, mostly because we've had some fierce disagreements. We've had some fundamental disagreements, but as time has progressed, we've grown to understand each other, and little by little, and fast by fast, how to work with each other's experiences and abilities. And right now, these next 3 months, not just with ARPA, but with the sales tax and budget priorities, and with the crises that are happening in our departments, is the ultimate test for our ability to work cohesively and collaboratively to respond to our community, respond in the most direct manner. to answer some of Mr. Paddock's questions that are incredibly valid and conversations that we need to be happening that need to be happening on our leadership level. Yes, there are administrative delays. The finance department has taken some of the biggest cuts to make the budget balanced. The city manager took $100,000 out of his budget to make sure that we have dispatchers at the police department. In brief, yes, administration is stressed, overworked, and also bearing the same emotional trauma that most of our employees are experiencing. But that is not an excuse. That is why we are here. No one forced us to be here, we wanted to be here. Y no quiero estar caniqueando. La bola queda aquí en este recinto de los 5. The buck stops here. Some history from Kalexico's budgets. 2015 was a very dark year in Calexico history. We had multi-million-dollar deficits, lawsuits, investigations, sucking the life out of the city for multiple years. For the first year since 2015, last year 2020, 21, we have a balanced budget for the first time. And we anticipate, hopefully with the border reopening in April, we will have a positive budget, modestly positive, when sales tax reflect the border opening. Has this council and past councils between 2015 and 2020 done enough to strategically, like Mr. Paddock and Ms. Estrada says, to quickly and effectively keep our economic engine as competitive as possible? No, we're barely doing that, but we are doing that. We're moving fast, thank God. But the crisis has been with us for 5 years. Mr. Figueroa, in our private conversations and our briefings, makes a very good point about Arpa. He says Arpa is not everything. And he's right. When we talk about the Arpa priorities, we also have to see where other sources of revenue are going to come. Sales tax, and talk about it as a holistic package where we're considering everything that our departments are telling us. I'm very concerned about the conditions of the fire department. I'm very concerned that they were hit not just with the financial crisis, but with a pandemic and a drug overuse crisis at its peak in this nation, all at the same time, understaffed. That has impacts on the police department as well. So restructuring, refocusing of the police department, that also has to happen. As a new police chief comes in with new ideas, and as we recover the finances of Kalexico, that's where we get to work as leaders. I took a yoga class yesterday with the recreation department, mostly seniors. And, you know, we can talk about lives and police and fire, and all those are critical. But also critical is for a yoga class of mostly seniors, we could not even afford $20 to give them the pads for their knees, most of which are broken, for them to properly do the yoga poses. We had them take metal chairs as substitutes. Norma is doing miracles with those $25,000 that she has. Having said this, now is the ultimate test. Other jurisdictions have taken bold steps using Arpa to craft creative solutions unique to their community needs. I have full faith that this council, all 5 of us, will together act boldly and decisively to address these needs and set us up for the future so that we are never in this position ever again. I have faith that we will act with equity in mind, maximizing the benefit to all segments of the people we represent, helping COVID-scarred families, businesses, friends, COVID-battered essential workers, farm workers, recover from the effects of this ungodly pandemic. Si se puede. And with that, let us continue with our agenda. I won't speak about what I think ARPA should be used on. I want to hear from the community first. And that's where we're at the city of Calexico.
Roma?
Thank you. I attended a neighborhood meeting in Calexico Mobile Home Park. They now have some problems that we are about to solve. In order to get to know and support my community, I have enrolled in being accepted into the 2020 Imperial County Housing Policy Leadership Academy. The course is for 10 months and it has no cost. Good plan, Mr. Figueroa. Now I will be where the citizen attending the workshops. It's very, very important. And finally, I have taken each problem that has been exposed here, and I will look for a way to solve it. Thank you, Carmen, señora Carmen, por su esfuerzo, por su trabajo, que tiene muchos años usted aquí, trabajando, entre ellos mis hijos, trabajando el deporte, los jóvenes. Créamelo que le apreciamos mucho y usted sabe que hemos dado dirección al administrador para que esos parques funcionen como deben de ser. Vamos a tomar en cuenta su reporte y espero en Dios y en el administrador, en Lilia, que la podamos apoyar como usted se merece y como se merece sobre todo todos los equipos que usted ahorita en este momento está comandando. Thank you, Jesse, for your support. Jesse se merece, yo creo que una medalla de todo lo que hace en la ciudad de Calexico. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you. Next item is the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be considered routine by City Council. Calexico Community Development Agency, successor agency of Calexico Finance Authority, and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by City Council.
Pues mi motion to approve all consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Do we go one by one, right?
Are you, only for?
Or can we go all of it? One by one?
Okay, what number?
One motion?
One motion for all of them. Okay, so you make a
Okay.
motion, second? Urania made a motion and she
Yeah,
seconded.
no problem.
Okay. Any discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you. Items pulled from consent calendar agenda for discussion, none. Discussion and potential action items. Number 12, authorize city manager to sign agreement of professional services with Geologic Associates for development and installation of groundwater monitoring network, New River.
Mayor, members of the council, this is the first of 3 items pertaining to the New River Improvement Project, Calexico Reach Infrastructure Projects. As I may say, these are projects that are being funded with the $28 million that have been reserved through the state of California, partially from Prop 68 and partially from the state's general fund. What we have here before you are items coming before you because construction for each of these 3 elements is slated to begin in the first quarter of this calendar year. It's important for me to share with you that given the work of our Public Works Administrative Manager, this council was able to approve through and request for proposals on-call professional services that at this point right now are benefiting us moving fast with the inspections, with the plan checks of the 3 elements that I'm referencing that are going to be here in Calexico. What you have here before you on item 12 is an agreement of professional services with Geologic Associates regarding, and this is specifically for the groundwater monitoring network that is going to be part of the work that's being done at the Calexico Wastewater Treatment Plant, which will now pump tertiary treated water into the New River Channel. With that said, if there are any questions or comments, I'll be very happy to answer them.
Anyone?
Move for approval.
Okay, second then?
Second.
Second by Romo. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, thank you. Item number 13, authorize city manager to sign amendment number 2 to the agreement of professional services with Lee and Rowe Incorporated for engineering services for sewer lift station number 9 and 11.
We've had this item for different matters before you in recent months. The reason we come with you today to discuss and present this item is because we have the opportunity to make an investment of almost $30,000 through our capital improvement program to upgrade existing elements of lift stations 9 and 10 that will assist by us having the proper service for future development in Calexico. One of the things that I recall that was brought up by council was the fact of how would this impact the future development that could come. And the answer to this is that we want to maintain the same quality of service that we are providing right now. So by addressing and investing on the 3 elements, which is the upgrade of existing gravity system to 27 inches, the upgrade of the existing 4 main to 10 inches, the redesign of the lift stations to accommodate the increase in the force main size will allow us to be better suited and provide the service that's expected. If there's any specific questions or comments, our Public Works Administrative Manager is here with us.
Anyone?
No, I just want to make sure that every time we prepare any type of, whether it's upgrade, update, that we make it in mind that, this is for the future also. And then I did ask this question as to where we find ourselves as far as our capacity to, for a water treatment plan and, for future development, and how this maybe allow us to continue with the development, that, is to come or is coming. So we want to make sure that we're proactive and that we're going to have enough resources, and if not, start investing also for the future, because that's part of the strategic planning. That's part of what we're talking about. With the planning, proper planning, I don't think we're going to be anywhere in the future. So where do we find ourselves now with our capacity, what treatment plan, and how this will enhance, or will add to the capacity? How will this have an impact?
I can address a portion of your question, Mayor Pro Tem, and that is the reason why we have a substantive capital improvement program within our city budget for fiscal year 21-22 is precisely to address and be able to provide the adequate services for the future growth of Kalexico. I do want to point out that everything within our capital improvement program that was approved with the budget is funded to be completed. What we're looking to strive and do is when these items come up, before they get done, bring them to your attention so you guys can see the benefit of making the investment at this point. As it pertains to the specific percentages of where we stand with our current system, I can provide direction to Ms. Falomir to give us that specific response. More than likely, that would entail us going back to our lead operators to make sure that we know precisely, because I don't want to mislead. I want to properly provide a response to that, and I would be very happy to provide that. Not necessarily at the next city council meeting, but before individually to you folks.
Yeah, because these are opportunities that we have, and then looking at some of the few monies that we have, including Arpa, and that's one of the allowable uses, infrastructure, And I think, this is an investment. I don't see it as an expenditure, but an investment on our future growth, infrastructure. So I think, we are having this conversation, we're hearing the needs, but I think, we need to address these things also cohesively. But something to keep in mind, and hopefully we can have that information, soon, so we can, when we look at ARPA, when we look at monies, we can have those data points to look at.
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah. So
Okay.
move for me, the number 30.
Anybody second?
Second.
Surraña second, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried, thank you. Number 14, authorize city manager to enter into agreement of professional services with Michael Baker International for engineering services to address comments received on and finalize the plans and specification for construction of the New River Improvement Project, Calexico Reach.
Once again, as I previously presented 2 items before this one, this item will allow us to continue and provide the proper professional services through Michael Baker International, who happens to be a firm that is very well acquainted with the project. Almost a decade ago, they assisted with the environmental impact report that was done for the New River Parkway. As we know, these infrastructure improvements are south of the parkway, so they are extremely familiar with what we have before you. And now what we're looking at is making sure that they properly review the plans and specs so they can provide any input as needed from an engineering standpoint. If there's any comments or questions, I'll be very happy to provide additional detail.
And just to clarify, this is coming from the budget that has been allocated for this project, right? Which is from the $28 million.
I do want to point out, Mayor Pro Tem, that this specific item has been identified to be part of our capital improvement program
okay.
that we approved with the budget for fiscal year 21-22.
Okay,
The previous one was.
okay.
Yes.
Mr. Figueroa, what is the difference for the number 14 and 16?
I can definitely entertain that. Item number 16 is for a component of the project in which we have
okay.
agencies provide feedback.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're going to consider their input and
Oh,
comments.
okay. Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I move to authorize city manager to enter into the agreement as presented. Second, who? Second, anybody second it?
Second.
Mr. Urania seconds it, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried, thank you. Item number 15, authorize city manager to sign agreement for professional services with Bender Rothenthal Incorporated for rights-of-way acquisition and appraisal services for Weekly Street Improvement
Oh,
Federal
okay.
Project Number CML-5168,
Thank
parentheses, 032, parentheses.
you. Very good news.
Following our procurement policy, the Public Works Administrative Manager issued a request for proposals. The purpose of the RFP was to have qualified firms submit their intent to provide professional services to the city of Calexico as it pertains to right-of-way acquisition, in addition to performing the work that is required to make sure that we do the improvements of Weekly Street. Let me paint a picture of where Weekly improvements are going to take place. This is right next, running on Highway 111, right parallel where Escaroni Road is at, in between Portico and Escaroni Road. For those of us that are familiar with that part of town, we can kind of picture it where Coppel Corporation is at. That improvement will take place. I'm very happy to share that the majority of the improvement in its totality, if I may say, will not be covered by the city general fund. It's part of the capital improvement program that the city council approved, and the fund will come from a federal grant through the Department of Transportation, and there's a local match within the state of California from Senate Bill 1. So we would be looking substantially at an improvement of a road that will now be heavily utilized
Very good.
because it would be appropriately suited for vehicular traffic.
So Capel expanding, Weekly is taken care of as well as the frontage road there, right? All the way to
Yes, sir, and if I may remind this council, the Public Works Department and the City Manager's Office continue to work on the project to improve Scaroni Road, all the way up to Cole Road, which, if you look at it, will not only benefit the newly refurbished Weekly Road.
Good. I have a motion to approve.
Okay, motion made by Romo, seconded? All
Second.
Garcia seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried, thank you. Moving on to item number 16, authorize city manager to enter into agreement of professional services with West and Associates Engineering Incorporated for engineering services to review on behalf of the city the plans and specifications for a new river improvement project, Calexico Reach.
So going back to what Ms. Romo presented or asked of me during the past item, I do want to make the distinction that this is a large project. And in large projects, depending on the specifications and the engineering design of the project, multiple entities and agencies will be required to participate. You're seeing here a third set of engineers that are going to specifically assure us that the building standards, the building code is being met through the proposals that have been submitted. In other words, we're looking out for the city's best interest. Again, benefit through the procurement process that we followed, where we secured on-call engineers. Mayor Pro Tem, this item is also one that has been included within the capital improvement program that was approved by the city council when fiscal year 2021-22 budget was approved.
So move.
Okay, second?
Second.
Ureña seconds it, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, motion carried. Item number 17, authorize city manager to sign note of completion for Adrien C. Cordova Memorial Park restrooms.
Motion to approve.
If this council recalls, there was specific direction that staff received from you folks
Good.
on the specifications for these restrooms in Cordova Park. Those considerations, as we recall, were met. And with that said, I'm very happy to bring before you now the notice of completion for your consideration on the restrooms. I do want to point out some elements that you folks have brought to our attention as it pertains to who's going to be responsible, how are these restrooms going to be maintained. I can share with you, per the last presentation that Ms. Falomir gave us about Cordova Park, that those restrooms will align with the timeline of when the parks and the fields, the baseball fields and the other amenities within the park become live so they can be used. If you also recall, one of the things that we recently talked about Cordova was the seed process of making sure that we plant seeds so we can have grass grow, given the time of year and all this. So with that said, this item pertains to the restrooms, but it merits that we talk about a little of all the other recommendations this council has made. Ms.
Garcia?
Falomir and I are here to answer any questions.
Again, thank you for bringing this to us and finally are completed the restrooms. But I want to revisit the timeline also. When is the grass is going to be seeded or planted? I know, weather's going to start to change. I know there's still a lot of work to be done, but also I want to make sure, in a few months ago, we had this presentation and I asked through this council that I wanted to see, or we want to see some sort of, opening, for that park because it has been in the works for quite a long time. But there is also, like I said, quite a few of work still yet to be done. From removing the dead trees that, they died, I was just by that area a couple of days ago. But again, if you can just give me an update as to where we stand with the seating and maybe a soft opening or partial opening of that park?
We had a back order on the hydro seed. It arrived last week. So we are going to be starting January 31st to begin the process of the hydro seeding. And we would like to have the park closed for about approximately 2 months. So hopefully having a soft opening April, May.
April, May.
Yes.
I know there is some work and maybe we need to revisit again, maybe on the outside of the fields, there's still gonna be a lot of dirt, if we can just, procure some seed or some sort of, at least something that is not dirt where people will be walking. But I do want to see something that it's done as soon as possible because we have the lights on already, and the bathrooms ready. And they do have a couple of, water fountains, so that I did see. So at least that's available, will be available. But if we can just stick to those timelines, and if not, that's not possible, at least keeping us informed, and not just us, but the community, because they're looking forward to that. So hopefully you can keep that, bringing that to us.
Yes,
because-
we did have, about 2 weeks ago, our recreation department, along with Public Works, met with the leagues, and we did also provide them a tentative schedule as to when the usage of the fields will be in place. So for right now, Public Works staff will start on January 31st with the hydro seeding, and you'll start seeing the irrigation and everything go up. So hopefully by April, May, having the soft opening for the fields.
So the staff will be doing that?
Yes, it's city staff who will be doing the installation of the hydro
I
seed.
thought we had hired a company,
No, we purchased the seed from them.
through a company.
They will come and show us how. but
Okay,
then
so-
city staff will be doing the.
Okay, so I thought that they were gonna do that, but they would just come and kind of like show how to,
Show us
show our staff how to,
and then we'll take it.
okay.
The irrigation system is all in place, so we would just need to get a machine, and then we'll have it here by the 31st.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
No.
No? Okay, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Second by Mr. Garcia, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes, and yeah, he seconded it. so.
Aye.
Okay, aye, and motion carried. Thank you.
Yeah.
Number 18, adopt resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute grant application agreements and/or any documentation pertaining to California water and wastewater arrears payment program funded by the State of California Water Board.
Mayor, members of the council, this is a prime example of the over-the-counter grants that are out there for the city of Calexico. Just because they're over-the-counter, it doesn't mean that they're going to come down. We need to go get the money. In this case, what you have before you is simply the opportunity to do just that. And what we're trying to do here is expend $97,000 that were allocated for the city of Calexico so we can assist those that are delinquent in payment of sewer services and water services through the time period March 4th, 2020 through June 15th, 2021. Obviously, there are practices that will be done in-house to make sure that we target and pinpoint those who would be eligible to take advantage in a positive way of this program, which at the end of the day benefits the city from a fiduciary standpoint, given that we would be able to collect some debt and improve our collection numbers in our budget. With that said, I'll be very happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions?
No, so moved.
No? Any second it?
Second.
So Adrien seconds it, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye, 4-0, motion carried. Item number 19, adopt resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico authorizing the submittal of applications for our California Recycle grants for which the City of Calexico is eligible.
I'm very happy to share, Mayor, members of the City Council, that in the summer of 2021, the City Council adopted a modification to our municipal code by amending an ordinance in which we followed the recommendations from the State of California in implementing and including in our municipal code AB 1826. We all know also that there are further statutory requirements that we have to meet, in this case with SB 1383. With that said, I'm also very happy to share that the item before you will allow us to go after $54,121 that are made available to the city of Calexico, in which we can begin to implement some of the requirements called for by SB 1383. We'll be able to use the money for multiple items that include the actual collection of the product, perform education and outreach with our community, do some capacity planning within staff and the community, but most importantly, make sure that we address the multiple items that will come with SB 1383. I do want to point out that there is a requirement for this city to have in its municipal code an adoption of the elements that make up SB 1383 by April 1st. I'm very happy to share with you that we are trending in being in that place, given what this council considered and adopted last summer. With that said, I'll be very happy to answer any comments or questions.
Anyone?
Can you repeat those last two sentences about the approval?
Yes, so one of the conditions for this money is to make sure that by April 1st,
Okay.
we have considered within our municipal code the requirements of SB 1383.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
We are trending in that direction because we've already addressed the ordinance change of 1826, which is the predecessor, if you want to look at it, as to what Calexico is requiring every jurisdiction in the state to perform.
Thank you, thank you. So move.
To move,
Oh, yeah.
second? Saldana, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried, thank you. Item number 20, approve and adopt job description for grant coordinator.
I'm very happy to bring this item to your attention. We have been given the opportunity by the state of California through the Housing and Community Development Department to use the SV1 monies from the Community Development Block Grant, which are COVID-19 relief monies that the state assigned to every city. With that said, the SV1 monies are going to be well expended on having a grants coordinator in-house in the Planning and Building Services Department, for which we will be able to address and monitor the proper expenditure of the monies for SV2 and SV3. If we do some memory, what this council gave us direction on was to utilize those monies to assist businesses, address public facilities like Fire Station 2 in the west side of Calexico, among other infrastructure that could also impact downtown Calexico
Yeah.
to address the impacts of COVID-19. So with that said, this is simply the job description, but I'm sharing with you what will come after this job description gets approved.
So this is exclusively a grant coordinator for the planning department?
Yes, to implement the programs of HCD that have come to the city through CDBG. I also want to add that we have been giving permission to have this grant coordinator assist the city with other programs that we have with that agency. So at this moment right now, it's all HCD related, but we feel that we will have the proper work done to showcase that we have all the program money and expenditures in line as they approved.
Very good.
Does that include writing grants or assisting with?
Related to
Related
HCD.
to- Only,
HCD, yes.
got it. Okay, I move to approve item 20 as presented.
Second.
Second by Ms. Romo, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried 4-0, thank you. Item number 21, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico approving a temporary fee schedule for planning applications and building permits until July 2022.
If we recall, a few months back, Planning and Building Services Director Tylenda brought to this council an item where she highlighted the elements that she would recommend for this council to revise as it pertains to the fees for planning applications and building permits. She also brought to your attention that she would be coming back, if you want to look at it as a round two, considering that she has continued to assess and analyze the city's fees. So with that said, I'll pass it to Ms. Tailenda so she can specifically talk about what will be changed in this recommendation.
Good evening, council members, staff, and members of the public. The item before you, as the city manager mentioned, we brought it once in October. And during those meetings, we informed the council, staff, and public that it was going to be something that was continuously looked at and updated and assessed. And primarily because the structure is so large, and I'm really focused on cross-training staff so that we can all prepare the permit fees in order to create the permits faster for customer service purposes for the public. And also it's contingency because it has to be easily interpreted, and throughout this we assess what's being charged, we do comparisons between neighboring cities, and then I go, okay, are they easily interpreted? Can my staff do the fees? What do I need to change? So this is actually part of that. So I've identified language, as you can see, it's highlighted. Some of them are more specified, so that helps my staff and me make sure that what's being put out to the public is as accurate as possible. I always say there's no perfect project. That's why I always like to give myself time, and I make it known since the start that it was something that was going to be brought back to you as it gets evaluated and implemented. So the items on the resolution are highlighted for the proposed changes. Especially, it's also based off of feedback that we received from the public, because we did have a workshop regarding the fees. And I've also gotten feedback from business owners who've come in to process applications, and what we've put out to the public, what's on our website. And we hear their concerns and how they compare us to what other cities charge. So all this has kept everything that we've gotten from a public outreach standpoint, as well as done internally, to assess the fees that are being imposed. And it'll be continuous, because the next round that we come before the council, it'll have different fees. You'll see fire and public works fees, so that's the engineering division fees. And you'll also be seeing the development impact fees, because that's being worked on, and we're going to start doing workshops. As I've almost finalized this portion of our permit fees, I can now transition into the development impact fees as well as the engineering and fire fees, since they're all part of the original Maximus study. And I'll stand for any questions.
Lisa, this is great. In one way, or something that I can suggest, is there a way that we can expedite, streamline these processes of going through this? I know we have to do workshops. I know we have to, notice properly all these things that by law they have to be done. But what else can we do to expedite? Because, and it's not that, I'm asking you from an expertise perspective that you have, how can we expedite it? Because the longer we take, the longer we take also to make this available. So I want to make this available. I want to make sure that we take advantage, or not we, but our potential businesses, investors, developers, whoever is going to be affected by this in a positive way. But is there ways that you can continue to look? And I know it might come down to staffing, all those things, but I just want to see how we can expedite it, because it seems that workshops, and those are great for feedback. But, what else can we do? How can we expedite, streamline?
Yeah, of course. So certain things can be streamlined. For example, if we bring a resolution and the council were to adopt it, that has language in which it stipulates that the finance director or myself can adjust fees based on a type of approval process we could create at administrative level. So there's contingency and transparency. So long as the fees are not an increase but a reduction, you do not have to do public hearings or public notices. We have been doing it to get the community involved and get feedback and make it known the changes that are occurring here at the city. So that's one way we could create a resolution and stipulate a process for it to be done at an administrative level, and then create parameters in which we establish internal controls in regards to reporting, even if the fees are reduced, because if you reduce fees, it doesn't trigger a public hearing need. So in this case, and actually, no, correct me. I'm sorry, let me correct myself. It does not trigger a waiting period. So when you reduce the fees, they're effective immediately.
Okay.
If you add fees, they're not effective immediately, and then it triggers a noticing requirement. After they're adopted, they have to be noticed for 30 days, so anyone can come and appeal anything. And for example, in this round, we don't have an increase, we have an addition of language because the fee schedule did not specify what we charged for copies. So if we do not have it specified or we have language that say we charge $1 to print the copy and it's not adopted per the process, we cannot charge it. So in this round, if you see it's one of the highlighted items, we've specified that we're going to charge for copies, how much we're going to charge. So that portion will be noticed for 30 days. It will not go into effect until that period is done. So those kinds of things, there's not an easy way around it. I don't think there's any way around it, actually. So when we're creating new fees or imposing new fees, they have to be noticed and then posted here at the city, posted on our website. So we have noticing requirements, but so long as the fees are reduced, we do not trigger noticing requirements.
And maybe we can just, I don't know if this is doable, where we can just group all the fee reductions so we don't have to notice those and making them effective as soon as this is approved by council or whatever authority has to approve it. So we don't have to lump them all together and wait until it goes through the process. So we can just look at that, look at the reductions, and just make them effective immediately. And then whatever has to go through the process, then we go through that. But let's not wait, or let's not lump everything and wait until it goes through the proper process, because I think it's just something that we're missing out, or we might be missing out on opportunities.
Definitely, I can do that. So next rounds that we bring before the council, I'll split them up for the noticing, the ones that we're going to notice, and then the ones that are just immediate reductions. And that'll make a faster process in theory. So, well, I'll do it that way.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve Item 21 as presented. Anybody second that?
Second.
Second by Mr. Garcia. Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 4-0. Thank you. And we're at the public hearing section. Item number 22. Public hearing, introduction and first reading by title only of an ordinance adopting a zone change from RC residential condominium to RA residential apartment and general plan amendment with conditions of approval in Exhibit A for the following assessor parcel numbers 058-180-080 and 058-180-081 and 058-180-082 and 058-180-084 and last 058-180-085 located within the city of Calexico, and certification of an updated mitigated negative declaration for the proposed zone change, general plan amendment for the proposed Remington apartment project.
Good evening, council, staff, members of the public. The item before you, we do have the representatives from the project here, and they have prepared a PowerPoint.
Okay.
And we're going to bring it up on the screen.
Good evening. Been a long one.
Just for the record, we opened the public hearing at 8:15 PM.
Mayor, if you wish, at this moment, right now, what we can do is have the presentation on the item, and if you so desire, after the presentation, you can open the public hearing.
Okay,
Is that fine?
yes.
Good.
Okay, thank you. It's been a long haul to get here, and I want to thank Lisa and Miguel for getting us here. And of course, I met with the council people, and I think you're familiar with this project. It's located along SR 98, and then behind the homes along Edie, and then Sheraton Road sort of splits the project, and we would be working on the project to the north of that. The entire project at one time was called the Remington Condominiums, and we're looking at purchasing the northern part north of Sheridan, which would essentially be 3 phases. See if I can- maybe-
So you just flick the on switch on the side.
details.
Martha, you can do it manually. Right?
I don't know. Can you advance it over there? Yeah, so the main purpose of this, and I'll try to keep it short because I know it's been a long evening, but Chelsea's been around for over 30 years, and I think the last time I was here was in early 2000 when the project applied for an infill infrastructure grant, which was about $3.4 million in order to improve the frontage of SR 98, all the internal public roads, along with some off-site sewer, water, and storm drain. Those monies also included our public park, which was requested at that time for this project. And so our team is Andrew Baker is our Director of Development. He leads our entire effort here. I'm David Davis, Development Manager, working with entitlements and permits and get our project over to construction. Scott is here in the audience as well. He's our financial manager, is what I call them. They're the ones that go after all these funding and sources and grants, and so we're able to fund these projects. And Lisa Young is our asset manager. We'll have an on-site, a manager is living on-site on the project, on one for each of the 3 projects that we're going to build in the future. This is our current team at Chelsea. And then so far we've developed over 11,000 affordable apartments across 120 communities in California, Arizona, and New Mexico. We are headquartered in San Diego, and we are currently expanding all over California. We're looking at projects up in Bakersfield, Woodland, Porterville, and also some other states. So Chelsea continues to grow and provide the needs for affordable housing. And we do maintain these properties once they're built to ensure the continuous management, maintenance, and compliance. These projects carry with them a 55-year requirement that they stay affordable housing. Sorry. Next. There's some current projects in the area. Our Las Praderas, the 60 units that we finished in 2019, we're now proceeding with our Las Praderas Phase 2, which is just north of the existing project. Cesar Chavez 2 was 80 units in 2017, and Las Palmeras 56 units 2014. So that's okay. Go ahead. So we collaborate with nonprofit organizations. Each development, Chelsea collaborates with a leading nonprofit service provider to tailor community not only to complement the surrounding neighborhood, but also provide residents with meaningful services free of charge. Civic Southwest Community Development Corporation is one of our largest, and they provide after-school programs, education, skill building, and to help the residents, find careers and manage their finances. Next. So the project itself, I started to describe, will be 3 phases. Each phase will be 60 units. And then where the dash line is, will be a public park. We'll get some more detailed images in a minute. Go ahead. Speed this up a little bit here. I know everyone's kind of doing it well. So now we sort of change the direction of it. The SR 98 is on your left. That is Sheraton going vertically with a turnaround in the middle. There's a new cul-de-sac. And you can see our phase 1 affordable is on lot 1. Lot 2 is in the future. Lot 3 is in the future. And there's a public park / retention basin. And then the south of Sheridan will still remain the Remington condos. Next. So we just want to, build these projects to continue to meet the needs of Kalexico. We're going to complete the infrastructure for 98 and surrounding areas of the parcel. We will be providing a public park with a playground and walking paths. And this will convert a vacant lot, which I understand this gentleman over here from IED went out and they were cleaning it up into a residential community. And we do deliver high-quality homes. We have our in-house construction, and we maintain these projects in tip-top shape, all the landscaping, especially the lighting. I heard that earlier. And we certainly want to help the state of California achieve their affordable housing needs for farm workers. So again, that's just lot 1, the kind of tentative map. We can advance that. Our next slide, please. So this is the park area. It's on McKinley Street, and right now it'll be depressed a little bit, but we're intending to have a walking path go around that. And there's your play structure. And during the planning commission, they did ask for more discussion. So as we go through our final engineering on the park plan, configuration may change a little bit, maybe a few more amenities, but that's the basic concept. That'll be open to everybody in the neighborhood. Next. This is the color total master plan. You can see the 3 phases. These are partial 3-story buildings and 2-story buildings. And then you can see the public park in the lower right-hand corner. Next. And that's just a that's a blow-up of the individual phase that shows the individual rec areas. I'm not sure I think those are gardening bins. Some other structures to the right, probably barbecues and things like that. So the community building is actually at the end of each one of these, or at the end of the longest building right there. So they'll also have those spaces in there where they'll have computer labs and so forth to educate the children and sometimes adults too on computers. Next, please. This is the 3-story version of the building. I got this image at the last minute. I'm not quite sure about the dark blue color, but colors can be changed. We could tone that back a little bit, and all these colors and everything will be going through the building department for approval. So next, these are the individual unit plans. We do have 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. Next. Or is this just 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom? 2 and 3? Yeah, just 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. That's it. I mean, I'm here to ask any questions. If I can't answer them, stop.
Anyone? Okay, so I'll go ahead and open for public hearing. It's 8:29. I'll go close the public hearing at 8:29. Thank you. Item number 22, public hearing, adopt resolution of City Council City of Calexico approving a, did you have some? Yeah. A vesting tentative map, plan unit development, updated mitigated negative declaration and condition of approval in Exhibit A for the Remington apartment project on the following assessor parcel numbers: 058-180-808, 058-180-081, 058-180-082, 058-180-084, and 058-180-805 located within the City of Calexico.
Mayor, if I may say, not to be repetitive, but as part of the presentation that was provided, the elements of this item is also, were also included. So at this point, if you wish, you can open the public hearing for this particular item.
Thank you. It's 8:31 p.m. I'll open it for public hearing.
I do have a question
Okay.
out there. I know we have the finance person. What are we looking at as far as time frame? You know, you going out looking for funding, you know, for this project, or where do you find yourself? I know this is just a starting point, right? But what are we talking about as far as a timeline for funding, for maybe even seeing this a completed project?
Well, I think at this time, we have the IG grant, we have Joe Cerna, did we get USDA? Okay, we have another one in? We're looking for a little bit more, yeah, because the cost of construction's gone up a little bit, and so due to that, we need to find a little more funding. I think one of them's home or something like that, and, but if we're successful in doing that, I think we're talking about doing a second round of 9%, which would be like September of this year.
Okay.
We would close on it in spring of, what was it, 23, and construction's gonna take 12 months for the project site itself, but the surrounding infrastructure with Caltrans, I'm figuring 18 months.
Okay. So 18 months, I mean, in an ideal world, having everything in place.
Yeah, the end of 24, right?
Uh-huh.
3, 24.
Okay. And I know, you know, the cost of construction, you know, materials, it's right now sky high, and maybe in the future, hopefully they will go down. But what are we looking at as far as investment into this project? I mean, at today's rate, today's prices.
I think our total investment on this, for this project, it's really hard to compare because
Yeah.
we have all the other infrastructure and everything we're putting in. But I think this particular one's about 325,000 a unit because of all the infrastructure. And so that's about $100,000 higher than normal per unit.
Thank you.
Anyone
Okay,
else?
Mayor, you opened the public hearing
Yeah.
for sub-item B of item number 22 at 8:31. So at this point, if there are no other comments,
No? Okay. I'll close it at 8:33.
I have a
No, you
question.
did have-
I have a question. Yeah,
that's fine, you can ask a question.
yeah. The construction are only apartments?
Excuse me?
Is only apartments?
What?
The all construction?
Oh, no, that's for the first phase, for
Uh-huh.
60 units, and all the infrastructure will be built.
No houses, no houses.
It's
only
multifamily, correct?
apartments?
Well, that includes the house, the apartments.
No, yes, I believe the question is if this is single-family or multifamily housing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
This is gonna be multifamily apartments,
Uh-huh.
and I do remember your comment about single family.
Yeah, I
forgot.
know, I
And
know.
I'm noodling on that one, because I think that's a valuable thing to have in the city, affordable housing, single family. I did look at one project out in Thermal, and that was my suggestion, was to put in single family affordable housing, but still working on that.
Okay.
Are
Anything else?
these apartment going to be sold or is for rent? I don't understand.
I don't understand the question.
It's for, this apartment is for, to be sold? Or rent?
The units are meant to be leased, is that correct?
These are for rent, yeah, they're a monthly rent, and these are all subsidized.
It's for
all
rent.
Low-income housing.
Right.
Oh.
So, you know, somebody
Okay.
who's AMI, there's 50% AMI, and then that rent is quite a bit lower, you know. So if the unit right now, a one bedroom is, I'm kind of guessing, maybe $1,800, I don't know. This unit might be closer to what, 1,200 for somebody that's making 30 grand a year or something like that, I mean, roughly. So it's quite a bit subsidized. That's the whole, you know, the whole effort is to be able to get people into housing that right now can't afford it.
Mr. Arana, I know you had, I know you and I had conversation about affordable housing. Is that really affordable housing? I think.
Yeah, it's not just
yeah.
a marketing.
Right, I know, but, yeah.
I was just gonna say on Gloria's comment about single-family housing,
Hmm?
and just downsizing, I think the typical housing structures that we have, single-family housing structures that we have in the city would be a good strategy for that.
Mhm.
Calexico tends to build very, very big houses, excessively large houses for a single family. So maybe getting something a little bit smaller but more affordable could get,
Right, I understand, yeah, I mean, I grew up in a 1,100 square foot house with, you know, brothers and sisters, and we were happy, so. But today, it seems like just a couple wants a house that's 2,400 square feet.
a whole castle.
Things have changed, but, you know, a lot of that has to do with development impact fees and the land cost, and sometimes you gotta build bigger houses to make something work, so. But we'll continue to look at that.
Mayor, at this time, we would consider from the city council 2 motions to approvals. One for each of the items on item number 22. So the first motion would be for the first public hearing.
All right, so, no further discussion? Anyone make a motion on that?
Motion for approval.
Motion for approval.
Item 22?
If you want to look at it for 22A as the first item.
Okay, 22A.
Okay. All, second?
Second.
Mr. Ureña, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
thank you.
And now for the second public hearing of item number 22, if we want to call it sub-item B.
Right, so I'll open it for, you want to open it for that?
No, it's already done.
No. We're gonna talk
It's
about
just the vote.
it. Okay, so public hearing, number 23.
22.
22.
22. So we
22.
approved the first of the
Okay,
2
so
public
now-
hearings on
okay, so-
22.
Right,
We simply just need a motion and a second for the second
so
one.
anybody make a motion for approved item number 22?
I'll make that
Mr.
motion.
Ureña makes a motion, I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye?
Madam Clerk, you got the motions?
Okay? All right, thank you.
Unanimous.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming down. We appreciate your business, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving up to item number 23, public hearing, adopt resolution of the City of Council of the City of Calexico approving and vesting tentative map, plant, unit development, and conditions of approval and certifying and mitigating negative declaration for the subdivision on APN number 059-180-025 into 113 parcels of an approximately 18-acre site located within the City of Calexico.
Good evening, council, members of the public, and staff. The item before you went to the Planning Commission during December 2021. It was reviewed by the commission, and they recommended the item for approval. It is a planned unit development of 113 single-family homes. The representative is with us tonight. The item is right here on the screen. That's the proposed site plan. They have prepared a mitigated negative declaration. It's gone through the review process. This item has actually been in the pipeline here at the city for a while now, and they've complied with the requests from the Project Review Committee, the PRC, and they prepared the mitigated negative declaration per the California Environmental Quality Act. And they're here before you this evening for your consideration for the approval of the tentative map and the planned unit development. There is something within the packet that I do want to point out. part of all these types of entitlements, some may be subject to conditions of approval. This is one of them that's subject to conditions of approval. We had a request from the applicant who's with us this evening, and I'm going to scroll to the section real quick, if you could. Conditions of approval, yeah, and we'll come back to the plan, sorry. I just want to get it on the record of the change that they're requesting within the conditions so that it can reflect in the minutes and the commission could see what I'm talking about. So if you could keep scrolling. Actually, no, it's up. Sorry. Let me- Oh, right there. So the request that the applicant has informed me of is for the front yard setback. They would like it to include language that says from garage to the front yard property line. And Ray, interject when you'd like, so we can get that on record.
Generally speaking, the front yard setback is always for your driveway. And so just from a development standard and just dealing with different jurisdictions, we just want to make it a little bit more clear that instead of saying the house, we're saying the garage, because we just want clarity on that. Say if some, maybe Lisa's not here down the road and we come to this and somebody says, oh, it says the house, not the garage. It's the garage that we're intending to be the 20-foot setback. That way, the whole point of having the setback is so that you could fit an entire car on the driveway in between the setback and the garage. That way you're not sticking out into the right-of-way where people could walk on the sidewalk. So it's really, that could be interpreted correctly or it could be interpreted another way, so it's just kind of like language for us. One other thing, Lisa, and I don't know if it's a typo, but if you look at the first part where it says 1.2 units per net acre, we were questioning if that might be a typo because I think the density is quite a bit more than that, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm reading that wrong.
For the single family, give me 1 second, let me double check.
It would be 113 or 7,000 divided by 113?
It's 113. No, actually, our lots are a lot smaller than that. I'm hearing everything you say, and I'm like, wow, that's just what I'm thinking. I think a lot like you because we built an excess here, and one of the things that I've noticed, especially in like Heber and Calexico, when the out-of-town developers came in and they did it everywhere, they build small lots with 2-story houses, and the people that come talk to us when they're buying, they don't like the 2-story houses, and let me rephrase that. There's 2 different cycles of people there. You have the demographic that wants the big house and the big lot and all those things, right? But then you go to our lower end demographic here in the Imperial Valley, which is the majority of all of us, and they really can't afford that. And so the idea that a lot of these out-of-town developers came in, they just went in and really big, and so we've been fighting to fight against that and come backwards, and it's kind of worked because if you notice the developers in town here right now, they're all local mom and pop developers, at least ones that are developing single family residents. Like Chelsea by no means is a mom and pop, they're a billion-dollar corporation and they do big apartment complexes, but we're local developers and we're focused on what the community needs. So in Imperial, we have some of our competitors that is doing very small lots. They're taking the big lots and they turn them into like 3,200 to 3,500 square foot lots, and they put a very nice compact model house on there, which is like anywhere from 1,200 square feet to 1,800 square feet on the high point, right? And it's become a very, very beneficial model to the public because although they're not subsidized low income, they're catering to the lowest of the working people that don't need to be subsidized in our area. And those people need to have houses. And right now, we don't have people supplying them to them. They only have people supplying the bigger houses. So what we've done is take a page out of our competitor's book in Imperial, and we did that on this site in Calexico. This site was not a big site, so it wasn't one where you wanted to do big lots. So we did all 3,200
3,200 square foot lots to 3,500 square foot, and they're all two-story houses where you could fit a lot of them on there in a little bit of an area, and that way the lots are less expensive because they're smaller, so it makes the house less expensive for the homeowner, you know? And we think this is a great product. Like Lisa mentioned, we've been working on this for over a year now. It normally doesn't take me this long, but there's been some things we needed to work through, and we got through them, and I think we got a real nice project for you guys now.
Yes, and I do have to say, definitely on the lot density, I mean, you look at that East Calexico, specifically Rivera, Gianaya, those are 7,000 foot lots for a teeny little house. It's ridiculous. And
Yeah, you need ADUs and all that stuff in there, to be able to utilize the space.
Infilling that is going to be a whole project, right?
Yeah.
So definitely a plus on the lot size, plus on the native plants that are being used. They're not lawns to begin with. That's going to be water-wise. That's setting us up for the future. The only detail is I hope that native plant water-wise design translates into the little park that you want to build within it.
Yeah,
I know that's expensive.
and we will work with you guys directly in your parks and recreation. This is just getting us going, but by the time we don't have an approved set of drawings for the park, so we're happy to take your thoughts and considerations on all of that.
Yeah, all things considered, much better lot size compared to the most recent developments.
Appreciate it. Any more questions?
No, I just wanted to point out also on the density, because as I sat through a meeting recently, one of the introductions, we were meeting with people from all over the state, including Los Angeles and San Francisco, and they said, you know what, welcome to Imperial County, the only place where housing is still affordable, right? So
That's true though, it really is, but it's going up real fast too though.
yes. So with that also, I just want to make sure that when you're thinking about these projects, of course, we want to have different options, but also within our affordability for families, and whether it's lot size or the type of homes that are being built, and just getting homes to be built now, because Calexico hasn't had a housing development in a while. So this is exciting and looking forward. I know the trends are going the direction that you just were sharing with us, and we have to make the most for our community, something that can be affordable, something that can be tailored to the needs and the incomes, and why not later on or as we move also maybe cater to maybe a little bit higher end, but for now this is great. Thank you for your time
And
in
as you
putting
mentioned,
this.
Calexico has not had housing for so long, so any demographic that we provide the need for is a step in the right direction. And I have some of my partners here that are working with me, and we have another 36 acres across the way. It was first our goal to see how was it going to be for us to work with the city, and I think we're very happy with how things have went, and so that enables us to invest more money and keep moving forward, because we know that we can come here, talk with you guys, explain what we're doing, you guys are reasonable, and we could move forward with a project versus getting stuck and never being able to go. So we're very happy with how this has moved forward, and we look forward to doing this project and moving on to the next one and seeing what's the demographic that we want to serve in that area.
If I may, and this is to put on the record, so the density maximum was formulated, really tailored for the PUD and the lot square footage, which is reflective of and I put it there because you said it might vary per parcel. So you can see net lot area, and the density maximum for R1s is different, but this is for the PUD. So if you'd like to change that.
We're comfortable with it as long as it allows us to build 113 houses there. I'm imagining that it's the net acres that we're probably not calculating correctly. Is that right, Lisa? Where it takes out the streets and all that other stuff involved in there?
Yes.
Because it's 18 acres and there's 113 lots, I was confused on the 1.2.
So we went through this because we couldn't directly take what is for the R1. It doesn't transfer for the PUD. And I did wait for any feedback or review, but it can take place changed, so it's on record. What would fit better for your,
I guess this was
We
better
could-
for you, because I just wanted to clarify, because one seemed like a typo, and then obviously we want to
Yeah.
clarify the setbacks of the house.
yeah, so I have that. If you wanted to increase it from 1
Well,
to
it doesn't-
3,
I think where he's going with it, he says like if you take the 113 and you divide that by the 18 acres, it's like somewhere around like 6.27 houses. So we
Right.
just want to make sure we're not putting something in there that's going to cause some
we
problems.
could change that, and we could put per parcel in the PUD, so, or just put flexibility on it, because this is a PUD and it is gonna vary.
Okay.
So that's why this is stipulated in the
Are you
conditions of
comfortable
approval.
with it like this, Susan?
It's your project, so if, like you said, if I'm not here, it's something that you have to be able to,
So I guess we would
Implement.
change that, set the amount, so that you take 100, take 18 acres divided by 113 lots, so that map would work. And I know net is different, I don't know what you use, because we're like 18 change gross.
Can we do that right now, Lisa, without it causing any problems?
yeah, no, because it's on the record,
Okay.
so it can
We're
be,
gonna- we
this
have
would
to
be
put
the
on the
time.
Yes,
Yeah.
so can you provide, based on, and I don't know if we can take maybe a research so you can work something out? I mean, so we don't make this back and forth. Can can I suggest a research so this can be worked out and then we can come back and take it back, this item?
So, hold on, so it's 8:51, we'll take a short recess. Thank you. And any more discussion?
No.
So, does anyone move to approve as presented?
First,
And I
it has
know-
to be read,
I know
but-
the director's is gonna present it as you want us to approve.
For the record, the changes that will be made will read as such. Number 1, the density maximum units per net acre will be 1 to 7 units. That will be one change. The next change will be number 5, front yard setback 20 feet from face of garage. Those are the only 2 changes that will be made.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve as presented. Anybody second that?
Second?
No, we didn't. So, scratch that, we'll back. I'll go ahead and, it's 8:59, I'm gonna open it for public hearing. No public hearing, I'll close it. Now we'll make the motion to approve as presented. Go ahead and read it again, Selena.
The 2 changes for the record will be number 1, the density maximum will read 1 to 7 units per net acre. The next change requested will be to number 5, front yard setback 20 feet from face of garage, and that will be all.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve as presented. I think Mr. Garcia had seconded. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you.
very much, guys. Pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is item for future agenda. I don't have anything. Anybody have anything? Mr. Lorena, go ahead.
Just very briefly, I know we have our hands full, so these are not in any means immediate items, but it's definitely things that eventually I would like for them to come back. The first one is a resolution of support for Mexicali Mayor Norma Bustamante. Mexicali Mayor has had a lot of challenges with the incoming Haitian population. She's handled it by opening shelters in the municipality of Mexicali, and I think she deserves at least our word of support for the good deed that she's doing for humanity. The second one is I want to, once we're through with ARPA, or maybe with the ARPA discussions, we should talk about how the farm worker project, farm worker service center project is going to change. We know we have a transportation project on the way. ARPA, sales tax. I think we need to revisit Moreno's Farm Worker Service Center plan with input from the city manager, planning director, and just get back on track, not abandon that project. They're not immediate items, but definitely
Okay.
things to think about.
Mr. Roma?
Thank you. Once again, I request that the meetings of the different commissions begin. Mr. Figueroa present for our next agenda the situation of the commissions, please. And second, submit a report to find out how many mobile home parks we have in the city of Calexico and what are the regulations or codes of the city, the county, and thus of the state of California, which regulate these mobile home parks, all, please. And finally, the administrator informs us about the situation of the building left by the orthopedic clinic in Calexico and what use are we going to give to the building. That's it.
Garcia?
Just to piggyback also, I want to get an update on the commissions. I know we're still in the middle of the pandemic, but we need to continue doing business and engaging. I think that's part of that feedback that we can get also for everything that's going on here at the council and at the city. And one last thing also that I wanted, also hopefully, not that I want you to do a very exhaustive report, but I would like to know what's the current number of businesses in our city through business licenses. Just to have an idea, maybe when we started pre-pandemic, middle, and I don't want to say post, but where we find ourselves now. So just to get an idea where we stand as a city with our business community.
Okay. Now, in terms of your request for the resolution for the mayor of Mexicali, I would also add that we need her here to read out the resolution, and with the I'll go ahead and approve that if we go ahead and make the invitation so she can be here.
Yes,
Mr.
absolutely.
Figueroa, we can certainly take care of that.
Good.
All right.
Thank
All right. So it is 9:04, and I move to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.